Hi, it's ChickenboneJohn here, and I'm just going to show you how we make simple boxes for making 3-string guitars out of. Okay, let's go to it. These are the boxes that we make for some of our guitars and for our workshop days, and I'm just going to show you how we put these together. We start with some X 2" by 1", so that's 44mm by 19mm, and we, like a lot of this stuff, we're doing repetitive work. We have little templates and jigs, so we've just got a couple of pieces of wood which is at a gauge, so this gives us the correct length for the sides and the ends of the boxes. I'm just going to cut it on the bench just using a bench hook and a tenon saw. I will also show you how we do it on the bandsaw. So here we go. Yeah, these are gauged, so it gives us the correct length of these sides. So just going to get a pencil. So just get my wood, my little gauging piece, and a pencil, and I'll do 2 of these together, so I'll just mark that up. Like that. And I'm just going to, what you can do is cut these 2 things together so they end up the same size. So I'm just going to put it in the bench hook, take my tenon saw, I'm just angling it down so I hit the one below, it doesn't slip out of register. Like when I've cut through the first one, like that. Now you should have 2 pieces of wood that are square and the same length, but you do need to check them both ways and at the ends to see if they're square. If you cut it accurately, then you won't have an issue. So we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to take our little gauging piece, put that in, mark it, just go over with a square to make sure it's right. I'll just true those up to make sure they're the same length. I've turned them on edge this time, so I can do the same thing. See, I've got the lines marked so I can keep an eye that I'm square across and vertical. As I say, before you glue it up, make sure everything is nice and square. If not, you might just have to touch that up by sanding it or trimming it to make sure it's nice and square. Then it will all fit together properly. We are just going to butt joint these together. No fancy cross half joints or finger joints or dovetail joints. We are simply going to butt them together. You can either clamp them or just pin them together. Just show the other way we do this on the bandsaw. The principle's exactly the same. I take my 2 pieces of wood, use my gauge, and then I know where to cut. Fire up the bandsaw, hands well clear of the blade. That's the long side. Then I've got another little gauge piece, the same thing. Put that on there, offer it up to the blade, it's using my this on the table. Now, if your table saw set, if your bandsaw's set up correctly, you'll have a nice, neat, square piece of timber to work with. If it's not quite square, I say you might just need to sand it, or I'll show you what we do here on the belt sander. Here's a very handy tool, just for we can just true these up, hold them together. That's all there is to that. You do need to make sure, if you're doing this, that your table is set up, this little table here is set up so that the disc is square, and indeed on this machine I've got it a little block mounted underneath to make sure it can't move, and also make sure your slide is set at 90 degrees. If that's the case, then you end up with some bang on accurate timber. The other part of this job is just 3.6mm plywood. That's cut a bit oversized from the box, maybe, you know, it's a few mil all round. That's got a sound hole and a hole for it, for the jack already drilled in, and just some pilot holes. Just going to screw the lid onto the top. This is just glued and pinned together. Okay, we've got another little jig. This is just to hold the work at right angles so we can clamp it up and glue it together, so that just slips in there. You do have to keep cleaning the glue off to make sure it stays accurate. But all we need to do, a little bit of glue on here. I'm using Titebond, which is used for pretty much everything we do. Just on the ends here. That's it. Into the jig. Offer up the side. If there's any knots, I look at keep the fair face on the outside. Hold that in there. I just need to back this off because I think this timber is a wee bit thicker than the last load of stuff I was using. So I've just got these little cheap over centre clamps. There we go. And that just holds that in place. I just need to tap these into position. But this is all set out on a square, so you know it's going to be accurate. Don't tighten these up too much because they can distort the box. We're just going to run a bead of glue round. There we go. I'm going to take our bit of pre-cut timber, offer it up to there, and then you can just fix that on with panel pins, or you can use a brad stapler like this. Start in the corners, make sure it all stays square. That's it. I'm just going to put a couple down the side. You sort of get the hang of gauging this accurately by where the stapler is to the side of the box. I'm not going to put one in the middle because I'm going to screw the thing together there, so I'm going to put something at the side here, and that is probably going to be enough. Take a hammer, I mean, you can use ordinary panel pins, we just find that's a little bit quicker. Unclamp it, and you should have got some tight butt joints. Now you could just clamp that together, you know, with a pair of these like Irwin Speed clamps, If you're doing a lot, what we tend to do is put a pin in the edge. Just make sure you use a panel pin that's going to be long enough to go right the way through. So we're just going to pin that with some panel pins, just in the middle. That's all there is to it. Round each of the four corners, drive a pin in, and you see that will obviate having to clamp it. All you need to do then, trim that off. You can do that with a saw, clean that up with a plane, put your box top on, get that the right way around, put your box top on, and we just put 4 screws in it so you can take it off, fit the electrics and tinker with it. And again, just trim that off with a saw and a plane or a file, put it on the belt sander, whatever, and you've got perfectly serviceable box. So there you go. You can see it's just pinned on the perimeter, pinned at the corners, butt joint. You see it's pretty tight. If you've cut and sanded it flush, then you'll have a decent box to work with. Size, it's up to you. These are actually they're a bit narrower than A4. They're about the same length, but A4 size is a decent size to make a box out of, and the height works absolutely fine for this sort of stuff. So there you go. Very simple, no fancy joints, just butt jointed glue and pins. And again, you know, our old friend, a simple jig. You can see how easy that is. That's just a piece of scrap in MDF, some wood the same size as we use in that, a guide in here so that you put your pieces in, and then we've just got a couple of little over centre clamps, which is a bit of a nicety, but you know, they're only a couple of quid a piece, and that's it. No special tools. I mean, I was using a stapler, but panel pins are just as good. Okay, so that's my tips on how to make a very simple box for making cigar box guitars. The hole, we put that in as just the same size as a strap pickup, but you can put in holes either side or F holes or whatever. As I say, simple butt jointed, solid timber, plywood top and bottom. One thing is, because you got this fairly thick side, you can just cut your neck notch out and screw through this, fix the neck by screwing it through the side of these ends of the box. You don't need to put another block inside.